Good morning, guys. In the second part of this video lecture, we will be discussing the tests, first weekly test. We will be discussing the questions asked, the best answers, and how to approach these questions and what constitutes a good answer. So we'll start with the first question. First question is Supreme Court recently ruled that privacy was part of the fundamental right to life and personal liberty guaranteed to all citizens under Article 21 of the Constitution. Critically examine the significance of this judgment and its consequences on various contemporary bills, statutes, and laws. So this is a topic which was in news. We have already discussed that in the issue-based lecture, and so what does this question ask? This question asks that what is the significance of the right to privacy judgment and what will be its consequences on various contemporary bills, statutes, and laws. So we had discussed that we had discussed in the first part of the lecture that it will affect section 377, beef laws, alcohol laws, Aadhaar, DNA profiling bill. So these are the areas where it will affect. So to our understanding and to our mentors, this answer which is written by Pratibha, we consider this answer as the best answer, and it is a good answer. It is a good answer because it first of all it is neatly written. There is completely good structure. And it covers each and every part of the question. So you have importance of this judgment, then you have consequences, then you have concerns, then you have consequences, and the conclusion itself is good. So what should be the ideal structure of this question? So in this answer, which is a good answer, some things are missing. First thing that is missing is that right to privacy has not been defined anywhere. See, let's first, this is something which is unique to each and every question, each and every judgment, or each and every issue. If a question is asked on NSG, you'll have to first define what is NSG. If the question asks on right to privacy, if the question asks on triple talaq, you'll have to first, in the introduction part, you'll have to define, you will have to explain what is triple talaq, what is right to privacy, what is NSG. You cannot just start answering answering the question without giving a brief or a background. So this thing is missing in this question, in this answer. So what is the ideal structure for this answer? So I have created an ideal structure for this answer. And we should start with what is right to privacy, and we should start with the context, like this recent Supreme Court judgment. Then we can come to the second part, which will be significance and effect of this judgment on the various laws. Now, since this question asks critically examine, when it says critically examine, it means that you have to critique the judgment also. So you cannot just praise the judgment. आप इस judgment को ये नहीं कह सकते हैं कि ये judgment जो है best है, इससे कुछ भी नहीं हो, इससे सब कुछ अच्छा होगा. जब question में it is clearly mentioned, it's critically examine. So since it mentions critically examine, it means कि you will have to give a critique also. So you can start on a positive note, which Pratibha did. She started with that about the importance and everything, but then in the next part she went to the concern part. So this is the concern, that is the concern. So she went to the concern part. So concern part we have already discussed in the issue-based lecture, which is that things like Aadhaar and DBT programs could be compromised, national security could be compromised. So these are the negative points of this thing. So in the third part, we will have to mention the negative points, and in the last part, we will have to conclude the answer. And when you conclude the answer in a judgment like this, see, Supreme Court has given a very landmark judgment. So even if the question says critically examine, you cannot just just criticize the judgment in the conclusion कि ये judgment तो भाई एकदम बेकार है, इस judgment से कुछ नहीं होगा. No, you will have to take a middle ground. You will have to take a middle ground. So this is a sample good conclusion which I have decided. You can go through it, that by declaring right to privacy as a new freedom and clear fundamental right, it has opened up a plethora of hopes and aspirations of Indian citizens as a whole and protects them from arbitrary intrusions of their personal space. While it has negative fallouts, rationally demarcated restrictions on this freedom and a properly regulated robust data protection law to support the judgment is the need of the hour. So, in a way, this conclusion not just highlights the significance of this judgment, but it also warns about some negative fallouts, and it ends in a positive note. One thing you should be very clear about, that the conclusion should always be positive, even if the scheme has not worked. By data shows clearly that the scheme has not worked, but still you cannot just blindly criticize anything. You'll have to take a optimistic conclusion, ki even though the scheme or the policy has number of issues like this, however, things can be improved by these things. Or you can start with, this is a very novel initiative, however there have been some issues and this can be rectified by taking these steps. This could be a very forward looking optimistic conclusion. So let's now come to the second question. It is commented by many experts that India's effort to become NSG member is a futile exercise. Do you agree with the view? Critically comment. Now, Narayan Sharma, he has his answer is, the structure of the answer is very good. It is the introduction is very good. He explains what is NSG. He explains the context. He divides the points into subheadings. So, and it is neat and it's everything. However, this answer with all its positives could not be given more than 4 marks. Let me explain why. Because the question clearly says that do you agree with this view? Critically comment. When it says critically comment, you have to refute this view. You will have to refute this view. And Narayan Sharma did not refute it. He went with this view. He went with this view that okay, this is yes, it is futile to go for NSG membership. However, the ideal structure would have been this. This is answer written by Akhil Parekh, and he has missed his introduction, missed what is NSG. However, he has understood the demands of this question. So he started with supporting the statement that yes, after the 2008 NSG 2008 waiver, there is no real requirement of India to become a member of NSG. But he countered that first argument with the more better second argument in the second part of the answer, where he refutes that no, even though we have got waiver, but there are number of benefits which we will get if we will become NSG member. And then he concludes his conclusion. You can just check, it is very good conclusion. Though the entry to NSG can give a shot in the arms to India's nuclear abilities and program, the need of the hour is to continue India's effort to be a responsible nuclear power. Also, active diplomacy with states like China is needed to further India's appeal to NSG entry. This is a very good. This is a very good conclusion. So, only thing in this answer which is missing is that he should have explained in one or two lines what is NSG, and he should have given background. Like, the best answer would have been that if we have taken the introduction from the answer of Narayan Sharma and the body from the answer of Akhil, and if you combine both these answers, both the part of these answers, you will get the best answer. Third question was that it is commented that the end of triple talaq is a gateway to uniform civil code. In the light of the above statement, discuss the need for uniform civil code and impediments in its implementations. Now, Ismail Thomas wrote this answer, and which we considered that this is the best answer. And she has started, the introduction part is very good. She started with the with giving the recent judgment, and then he went to the second part. He went to the second part in which he discusses why there is need for UCC. And good thing is that, see, you'll have to make the life of examiners very easy. A UPSC examiner checks multiple copies in a day. Okay, even if you write very good content, but you write it completely unstructured, you will not get the marks. You will not get the marks. It is always, always you should try to simplify the language to make the structure look better, to make the structure look beautiful, to give certain spaces, to write in point formats, to underline the keywords. So Ismail has divided the second part into multiple points, and he has given heading to each point. First point is secular nation, gender justice, perpetuates inequality, and then he comes to the third part, which is impediments to implementation. So she has given very valid points in that also, and then she went and she concluded the answer. And this conclusion has taken a very middle path, and it is a very balanced conclusion. So this answer is complete. Even if the question does not ask you for solutions, it is preferable if you write 3 or 4 lines in the way forward. It is always preferable. Probably you can earn a half a mark or a 1 mark extra if you do that. So in this answer, in content wise, some points could be added. Like, first part is it will strengthen the secular fabric of a country and promote unity. And second point is the game of vote bank politics will be over to an extent. How? Because right now, both the so-called secular parties and both the right-wing parties had made this UCC an issue. So the right-wing parties, they raised this issue to cater to their constituencies, and on the other hand, the secular parties, they raised the issue of UCC to serve their constituencies. If this UCC will be eradicated, if this UCC will be implemented, this game of vote bank politics will be over. Okay. Now let's come to the fourth question. Given the fact that PDS system is highly prone to leakages and corruption, many experts have suggested that it should be replaced by direct benefit transfer. Do you support the view? Critically discuss. Now, Kunal Agrawal has written this answer, and we consider this to be the best answer. So, the good thing which I liked about his answer is that in a very minimum space, he has covered almost everything. So rather than explaining PDS and its problems, and there is no need of that, because the answer says critically discuss. So you will have to take a view which is somehow pro PDS. And if you have to take the view which is pro PDS, there is no point in wasting half a page in writing drawbacks of PDS. And Kunal explained these things in just 4 points, in just not just 4 points, in just 4 words. That it is fraught with issues like inefficiency, leakage, corruption, exclusion. So in the light, and then he came to the second part, which is in this light, DBT is offered as a solution. He then explains the reasons why DBT will be helpful. And then he comes to the third part where he explains how it could lead to new problems. And then he ended it with what should be. And he takes a middle ground. He takes a middle ground. The DBT could be introduced in a phased manner, or Aadhaar penetration should be, or banking infrastructure should first be developed, then we can do that. So he takes a middle ground. So you cannot just write off anything, because DBT is a flagship program of this government and of the previous government also. And we cannot just write off that DBT is bad. No. We'll have to take a middle ground. Since the question is critically discussed, we'll have to take a middle ground. So this is a middle ground which could be taken. Some points could have been mentioned, that he should have mentioned the context why this question was asked, because the government is planning to scrap PDS, so he should have mentioned that. Then in issues with DBT, he had missed many points. He had missed points like it is not leakage proof, PDS has started performing better, PDS a shield against inflation, PDS ensures stable income for farmers, cash transfer is leading to exclusion. So all these things should have been mentioned. So that is why due to lack of points in the third part, I will give this answer a 5 mark. If he would have written all the points, this would have been a 6 mark answer. Now let's come to the next question. To solve the twin balance problem, economic surveys suggested setting up of a centralized public sector asset revision agency. Critically discuss whether setting up of an agency like PARA will be feasible. Now, Meera J has written this answer, and it is a good answer. It is a good answer. It caters to all what it caters to the demand of the question. It caters to all what is asked in the question. So it explains that even though government has taken a number of steps, it has failed to solve the NPA problem. That is why economic survey has suggested PARA. It has also dealt with how PARA will be, how PARA can change the things, how PARA can improve the situation. And then in the last part, because since the question says that whether it will be feasible, he explains points. He explains points which mentions that what are the concerns which are associated with PARA. So he explains that issue of fundraising for PARA is a bone of contention. Public funding is seen as an extra bailing out defaults, political interference. All these points are relevant and good points. And then the best part of this answer is the conclusion is very good. Thus the need of the hour is to support PARA with other efforts like bank capitalization, liberal interest rate cuts by RBI, merger of weaker PSBs with bigger PSBs, and revitalizing banks. So all these conclusions are, it's a very good, all these points are very good points. So this is a more or less, it's a model answer. It's a very good answer, right? It deserves 6 out of 10. Now let's come to the 6th question. Ultimately, it is the rural agrarian crisis which is motivating dominant landed class in most parts of India to agitate for reservation. Do you agree with the view? critically discuss. Now, this answer has been written by Avinash Mishra, and it is a good answer. It is a good answer, but I would still not give this answer more than 4 marks. Even though the content, the points he has explained are very good. But still I will not give out of 4 out of, not more than 4 marks. Because there are a number of flaws in this answer. The first flaw is that it has not explained, in the introduction it should have explained what do you mean by dominant caste. This is not explained in the introduction. Because when the question mentions some technical word, it is required that you explain what is dominant caste in the explanation. Okay? Then the question says, ultimately it is a rural agrarian crisis which is motivating dominant caste. So the focus of the answer should have been on agrarian crisis and its role in this protest. Right? So you will have to first explain how agrarian crisis is leading to this phenomenon. And then you have to conclude. By mentioning, in the next part you have to mention how even non-agrarian crises are also responsible behind this protest. So even though agrarian crisis plays a big role, but there's problem, there's jobless growth, there's political support, there is this jealousy from other OBCs which are also motivating the dominant caste to ask for reservation. So agrarian crisis plays a major role, but is not the sole factor behind this protest. So you have to, so after introduction, the first part of the body, you'll have to mention the role of agrarian crisis, and then you have to counter that by saying that there are also factors beyond agrarian crisis which are playing role in this protest. Now in this answer, he has he's kind of, the organization is like, he's including every point together. He should have bifurcated the answer into 4 parts. Right. So then he said in where it is good, he has mentioned good points. I have also selected one way forward. It could be like this, that even though the agrarian crisis is mainly responsible for this demand of reservation, however, along with agrarian crisis, many other factors like XYZ are also responsible for the demand of reservation. And the icing of the cake could have been done by mentioning 2 and 3 way forward points, as done in this answer. So even though the question does not mention way forward, but again, everybody writes good. You have to write best. Because 15,000 people are giving mains. Out of that, only 1,000 are getting the ranks. So you'll have to be some different from each other. You have to be different from the other people. Let's deal with the 7th question, which says that mental health in India remains shrouded in stigma, which stifles conversation and are much needed public dialogue and exploration into the mental well-being of a rapidly growing population. In the light of the above statement, critically discuss the significance of recently passed Mental Health Care Bill 2016. Now, as per the WHO report, so this is an answer which is written by Parvati, and Parvati discusses. Parvati first explain in the introduction part, deals with the first statement of the question, and which is good. He explains the condition and the problems faced by the people who are mentally sick. In the second part, he discusses the significance of the bill. What will bill lead to? It will decriminalize the suicide. It will, So she talks about the significance of the bill. In the third part, she asks about she deals with the challenges, that what are the challenges, and the handwriting is not very good, it is not very legible, but points she has written meets the demand of the question. So it is a good answer. Let's deal with the eighth question. Despite the runaway success of the healthcare schemes and availability of antiretroviral therapy in government hospitals, social discrimination against HIV positive people in India is pervasive. How will proposed HIV AIDS Bill 2014 deal with this problem? Now this answer is written by White Walker. Yes, this is written by White Walker. This answer, first of all, the best thing about this answer is that it is within the word limit. Because you should always try to write answers in 200 words. Because see, there is no negative mark if you write 250 or 300 words. But only thing is that if you will write 300 words in each answer, you will not be able to complete the paper, or probably you will complete the paper but the last 6 or 7 answers would not be of good quality. So rather than writing 12-13 answers of very good quality and 7-8 answers of average quality or bad quality, it is good that you write 20 answers of more than average quality. So this answer meets the word limit, and he gives a very good introduction that how they are discriminated and everything. Then he comes to the next part, that what are the problems they're facing social. This is a good initiative. If you can divide the things into angles, social angle, like if for example if there is India and Israel relationship, so you have to search the angles: technological dimension, defense dimension, agriculture, political, strategic. So if you can identify and highlight these different dimensions, you can always fetch few marks extra. And this is what is being done in this answer. Is being done. He has given social, economic and political angle, and that is very good. And then in the last part he deals with how this proposed amendment will deal with all this discrimination which were mentioned. Good thing is that he is also the conclusion part is also very good. See, because he says that all these moves cannot guarantee complete eradication, but the legislative framework making it a legally punishable offense would instill a fear in the minds of such persons. Discrimination is against Article 14, and eradication of HIV affected is one of the right steps taken in this direction. So his conclusion is very good. Let's come to the ninth question. It has been commented by many experts that management of government debt by RBI leads to conflict with its role as monetary authority, working to contain inflation and ensure financial stability. In the light of the above statement, discuss how setting up of an independent PDMA would improve the situation. Also discuss the challenges PDMA will face in its working. So this is a good answer. I think White Walker has written this answer. This is a good answer, but again not the perfect answer. There is a number of problems in this answer. The first problem is that when the question says in the light of the above statement, then the maximum focus which you should give is to that statement, countering that statement or justifying that statement. But he has just written one line, one point, and explained that statement. So he should have given more focus on this statement, that it has been commented that many experts that management of government's debt by RBI leads to conflict. So he should have dealt with the conflict issue in much detail, and then he should have touched the other points. So that is actually a model thing for all the questions. If the question says something, your answer should, a good part of your answer should deal with that statement which is being asked in the question. let's come to the last question, which is, despite government initiatives like Make in India, Skill India, and FDI liberation, why is industrial growth not showing any signs of recovery? What steps should be taken by government to improve this situation? Now this is a good answer again, and I think it is written by Kunal Agarwal, and it discusses, first of all, it is a good answer, but in questions like this, it is good if you give a data. If you could provide a data, it would have been good. If you don't remember, it's fine, but if you could have provided some data, at least one data, that would give a solid backing to your points. Okay. So he has mentioned almost all the important points. I mean, he has actually missed also many important, because you cannot write 10 points in the question. He could have added some more points like strong rupee. He could have added over leveraged corporate sector, which we had explained when we discussed the issue. So he could have added these points also. Then he had given steps forward, and this is also good, and the conclusion is also good. So it's more or less a good answer. So